but Mike McCarthy gave a speech that I feel like that's the speech you give the first day of training camp for teams with the expectations that maybe a Dallas Cowboys would have. Basically said Super Bowl or bust. He said, this is about winning. This is about winning the world championship, period. Because that's all that matters. Going to the playoffs ain't good enough. Having a winning season, not good enough. Going to the championship game, not good enough, okay? Because it takes everybody. And you may be tired of hearing this, but I've been part of one championship team. I stood in front of one championship team. It took 77 men to win a world championship, and that's just the way it goes. And once you hold the trophy up, it's blanking heavier than you think it is. So with that in mind, Dallas Cowboys, he's setting Super Bowl or bust tones for this team. Before we even decide whether or not it should be for the Dallas Cowboys, let me ask you this. Out of 32 teams, how many coaches would make this speech? 10? 12? I mean, there's got to be a number of teams that have that feeling like we can win it.
That particular speech, probably half dozen.
All right, 12, all right.
Yeah, half dozen teams or so, I would say would be, half dozen, not 12.
How believable are those speeches?
But wait,
when you're
a half dozen is believable. A dozen is expectations.
Okay.
And beyond that, you're delusional. And that's the reality of it. But every single team in the National Football League, when you go into training camp, you think you're coming out going to play in the Super Bowl. That's right. Every year. Every mentality has that until you actually walk into the locker room or walk on the field and you take a look at the people around you and then you realize, yeah, it's probably not going to work out the way we want it to. Right. And now reality sets in. There's nothing wrong with what Coach McCarthy is saying because the Cowboys are a loaded football team, especially on the offensive side of the ball.
You said they could be sneaky good.
They could be very sneaky good. Defensively, they've got some pieces. Now, it's all about Dan Quinn putting it all together defensively. The young guys on the defense gelling, coming together, and I think that they will. The question is, for me, is if things start to go sour, how do they respond? Do they respond? When they get punched, are they going to punch back? Or all of a sudden, are they going to let the naysayers continue to just bash them and it sink into them to the point where they can't get out of their own way?
Is playing in Dallas, you have this experience. Playing in Dallas, is it different than playing anywhere else because of the intensity of the coverage, the fan base, the expectations, the owner, all those things? There's something different about, is the jersey a little bit heavier in Dallas? You know what I mean by that? Is that come with it? Because you just said if they don't, the way they seem to react to criticism, like you were just suggesting, as long as they don't let that creep in, they'll be fine.
Well, because if they lose one or two games in a row, or not one because you got to lose one losing in a row, but if they lose a couple games in a row, the first thing people start saying is, here are the Cowboys.
Here they go.
Here they go again. And if you allow that to sink in and you start worrying about those things, now you start to press. And you're not coaching or playing up to your expectations. If you can somehow alleviate that, the outside noise, and just focus in on what you need to do, then you can be a really, really good team. When I was playing in Dallas, we were an okay team. We just didn't quite we didn't quite gel fast enough. We was like hit and miss. We might win 2 in a row, 3 in a row, then we might lose 2. And we win 1, then we might lose 1. Opposed to being just, it was new. It was like basically a new team and a new everything. And it was heavy, but we also understood where we were at as a team. We were not ready to be a Super Bowl caliber team quite yet. I think this team, though, with a veteran quarterback that they just paid a bunch of money to, plethora of skill position players, an offensive line that could be good if they healthy, and a retooled defense with expectations, and potentially a coach in the waiting in Dan Quinn, who, if it goes wrong, he could be the guy that eventually, takes over at some point. It's a lot. It is a lot because Jerry Jones doesn't have to. It's not like Jerry Jones is 25 years old now. He wants to see an opportunity to win another championship. And so it's a lot of expectations and hype coming into this year, and the hype starts with the quarterback because you gave him a whole bunch of money. You don't give a guy a whole bunch of money unless you believe that he can lead you to the Lombardi Trophy. And when you do that, that says, okay, we got a really good team. We're looking for a championship. Think about it.
Mm-hmm.
They just gave Josh Allen $150 million of guaranteed money, $250 million overall. What does that mean? That means the Buffalo Bills are thinking about a damn championship.
Yeah, they expect to win.
Kansas City Chiefs paid Patrick Mahomes. They were thinking about another championship.
That's why you pay players.
That's why you pay them.
You pay players because you expect that you're going to get that money back in success.
Yeah, they're not paying you to walk down the red carpet and look good into the stadium.
Right.
And so those expectations become heightened when people shell out that type of money.
Right, and that now is obviously, and then Mike McCarthy putting it out there for the Cowboys and knowing, of course, the Hard Knocks cameras are on him is certainly a reason for that. So that's the expectations for the Cowboys. And
thanks for watching ESPN on YouTube. For live streaming sports and premium content, subscribe to ESPN Plus right now.